Hi guys, hope you're all doing okay, staying inside and staying safe. My name's Daniel. I worked with some of you in ELA, but now I'm going to be doing math videos with you guys. So today we're going to be going over word problems about proportions and ratios. We're going to look over some of the problems that we didn't do in the first part of this week's video. The link to the worksheet is in the description below if you don't have it, but it's the same worksheet that we went over in last video. Make sure to watch that video if you're confused or you don't know how to complete questions 1 through 4. So let's get started. So here's some context. What are ratios? Ratios are ways in which quantities can be divided or shared. A ratio is a comparison of one value to another using division. For example, a class has 18 girls and 12 boys. The ratio of boys to girls is 12 to 18, also written as a fraction 12 over 18. What are proportions? A proportion is an equation that sets one ratio equal to another. Some examples are 4 over 5 equals 20 over 25. Or let's say there are 4 6th graders and 11 students. The ratio of 6th graders over total students would be 4 over 11. We're going to review proportions to help understand the word problems that we're going to be working on today. Remember, a proportion is a set of two fractions that are equal to each other, like 4 over 5 equals 20 over 25. When we multiply opposite corners, something interesting happens. 4 times 25 equals 100, and 5 times 20 also equals 100. We call multiplying the corners cross-multiplying. If there's a variable or an unknown value in the proportion, we can use cross-multiplication to solve for the variable. Here's an example. K over 6 equals 2 over 3. To solve, we cross-multiply and solve for the variable, or the unknown. It should give us 3k equals 2 times 6, or 3k equals 12. Next, we divide both sides by 3, and we get the answer, k equals 4. Now we're going to go over problems on the worksheet, so make sure you have that in front of you. We're going to start with question number 5 on the sheet. A cake recipe requires 4 cups of flour. How many cakes can be made using a package containing 60 cups of flour? The first thing to do is set up a proportion. As we just learned, a proportion is two ratios or fractions that are equal to each other. We know that it takes 4 cups of flour for 1 cake. We're trying to find how many cakes can be made with 60 cups. Since the ratio stays the same, we can set up this proportion. 4 cups over 1 cake equals 60 cups over blank cakes. Let's replace the number of cakes with n as a variable. We would use c, but since we have cups and cake, c might get confusing. Now to find the value of n, we have to cross multiply. When we cross multiply, we have 60 cups times 1 equals 4n. We're left with 60 equals 4n. Next, divide both sides by 4, and we have n equals 15. This means that with 60 cups of flour, we can make 15 cakes. Moving on to number 7. It takes 4 minutes for Andy to drive a mile, and it takes 6 minutes for Diane to drive a mile. If Andy and Diane both drive for 1 hour, how many more miles will Andy drive than Diane? Our first step is to find how many miles each person drives. The problem states that it takes 4 minutes for 1 mile. Let's write that as 1 mile over 4 minutes. Now we're trying to find how many miles he drives in 60 minutes. Let's represent how many miles he drives in 60 minutes as A for Andy. So A miles over 60 minutes. Here's the proportion. We need to make sure the units match. Miles over minutes equals miles over minutes. Because in this case we're good, we can get rid of the units and just have 1/4 equals A over 60. To solve for A, we cross multiply. When we do that, we have 60 equals A times 4, or 60 equals 4A. To find the value of A, we divide both sides by 4. We get A equals 15. Let's do the same for Diane. In the problem, it says that it takes Diane 6 minutes to drive a mile. So her mileage would be 1 mile over 6 minutes. Again, we have to convert 1 hour into 60 minutes so that they're the same units. Let's set the amount of miles Diane drives in 60 minutes as D and set up a similar proportion. 1 mile over 6 minutes equals D miles over 60 minutes. Like we said before, because the units are the same, we can drop them, and we have 1 over 6 equals D over 60. Again, we cross multiply, and we have 60 equals 6 times D, or 60 equals 6D. We divide both sides by 6 and find the value of D. D equals 10. In 60 minutes, Diane drives 10 miles. The problem is asking how many more miles will Andy drive than Diane? Now that we know how many miles each person drives in 1 hour, we can answer this question. The phrase how many more tells us that we're finding the difference between the amount or that we're subtracting. We can write this as an equation. Andy's number of miles minus Diane's number of miles equals how many more miles? Then we substitute in what we know. We know that Andy can drive 15 miles and that Diane can drive 10 miles. And that equals how many more miles Andy drove. When we simplify this, we find that Andy drove 5 more miles than Diane in 1 hour. That's all you have to do to solve this problem. That marks the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Remember to finish the worksheet, and the answers to the questions we haven't gone over in the last 2 videos are posted in a PDF in the description below. If you have any questions about the work, you can always email us at this account. We miss you guys and hope you guys are staying safe. Bye.